Ladies and gentlemen, today, the Biden shark feeding frenzy continues. This is glorious. This doesn't happen every day, obviously. In fact, it's probably more rare than a solar eclipse when liberals feed on one another in public. It's beginning to happen more and more. Today, we're going to look at exactly what are Joe's options. Will he stand down? Will he continue? What are the ramifications of both? What about those delegates that have already signed their ballots and mailed them in? There's millions of them coming in to Joe's campaign, and they're legally bound to Biden unless he steps down. What will Joe do? Today, we're going to take a look at that. We're going to take a look at what the people are saying. What about Obama? What about his role in this? He's got one, and he's playing it. Ladies and gentlemen, the right side with Doug Billings is now upon you. Are you ready? Let's go.
Hey everybody, my name is General Mike Flynn, and I'm here to do a big shout out for my great friend and one of the best in the business, Mr. Doug Billings. Right side with Doug Billings, right side with Doug Billings. Doug is the future of the airwaves when it comes to independent broadcasters and podcasters. He is the new Rush Limbaugh. He's exactly what America needs right now, looking for honesty, looking for wisdom, looking for truth, looking for patriotism. Listen to Doug Billings at Right Side with Doug Billings. God bless you and God bless America, and thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are winning. We're winning, winning, winning. Welcome to the Right Side with Doug Billings. Are you ready?
We are not liberal snowflakes who melt away in the face of tragedy, adversity, and challenge. We are a covenant nation under God, and his divine providence is not dead and it's not gone. It is living within each and every one of you. And you will bring it to life in such a way that the world has never seen before. We never back down. We never give up. We march forward.
All right, everybody, here we go. Standing with you shoulder to shoulder, expressing viewpoints of light, liberty, and logic, and how we can, in fact, throughout this nightmare that the Communist Socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party, has thrust upon us, we can find hope and wonder and joy in this world. Believe it. It is out there. Blessings waiting to be born. We're seeing some of this happen right now. This shark frenzy, as I call it, this feeding frenzy of Joe Biden continuing, that snowball rolling down the mountain, getting even bigger every day with more and more radical liberals coming out and asking Joe Biden to quit. And don't be fooled, though. Don't be fooled by the way they're doing this, because what they're panicking about was very clear to all of us back in 2020, wasn't it? They knew that Biden was unfit to hold office of the president of the United States, and they know it now. They didn't fool us then. They don't fool us now. The only difference is the entire world saw Joe Biden's dementia debate, and they can't hide that. They cannot hide it. And so not even the radical left, with all of their allies in the legacy media, and there are a lot of them, you know, the media is in the hip pocket of the radical liberal hierarchy. They are their bullhorn. Even with all of that, all of the tricks that they use, all of the manipulation of truth, all of the manipulation of their videos, their stories, and everything that we see every day on legacy media, with all of that, they cannot hide the facts of Dementia Joe and his lack of mental acuity any longer. It is obvious. And I'm going to remind you about something that I told you about 3 years ago or so, just about a year after I started my show here. President Obama's lust for power. In the midst of all of this, in the midst of this feeding frenzy that we're watching every day, don't forget the radical members of this hierarchy, of this Communist Socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party. They are thirsty for power. They want it, and once they have it, they don't want to let it go. President Obama was giving an interview several years ago, during which he said that he would, and I'm going to paraphrase him here, something to the effect that, you know, I'd like to have a microphone connected to an earpiece that's in the ear of the president. He's talking about Biden. And so I can have a third term, so I can whisper to him instructions. So, folks, you see, when liberals lie all the time about the things that matter to you and me, they lie about perceptions and the state of play in America. They lie about their policies and how they might benefit us. They don't. But they don't lie. They don't lie when it comes to the topic of power and how to hold on to power. And Obama, in that quote, was telling us the truth. And I have it for you. I'm going to show it. I want you to be reminded of this. This is important when we talk about what's going on behind the scenes today with regards to the feeding frenzy that we're seeing about Joe Biden. So, Logan, let's play clip number 1 for the audience.
I've said this before. People would ask me, knowing what you know now, do you wish like you had a third term? And I used to say, you know what, if I could make an arrangement where I had a stand-in, a front man or front woman, and they had an earpiece in, and I was just in my basement in my sweats looking through the stuff, and then I could sort of deliver the lines, but somebody else was doing all the talking and ceremony. Wow. I'd be fine with that because I found the work fascinating. I mean, I write about the even on my worst days, I found puzzling out, these big, complicated, difficult issues, especially if you were working with some great people, to be professionally really satisfying.
There it is. They do not lie about their quest, lust, and the ability to hang on to power. And he's doing it. Ladies and gentlemen, Obama is running the show. He has been. With a few others of the hierarchy, they've been running the show. The radical left lie all of the time, and they oftentimes mix lies with the truth. But like I said, when talking about power and their desire for it, they very rarely lie about that, folks. Very rarely. And there you have it. Obama trying to pretend and come off as if he's joking, and this is just kind of a fantasy of mine. Nonsense. It's reality. And we know it. You know it. Ladies and gentlemen, you, those of us on the right side, you, members of the most intellectually mature audience in all of podcast land, you know this. Obama was not lying when he said he wanted a third term, and he's had it. He's gotten it. He's been living it. So the last 4 years, I've been saying this. Obama is running the show. He is in charge of the Biden White House. Now, there are, as mentioned, a few others. He has help. Key among them, Susan Rice. Susan Rice, who has an office in the West Wing, right there, always has been very close to Obama, his wing girl, so to speak, and she's also helping. Now, he'll never admit this, obviously, not going to admit it in public. And because of what I've been saying over the last few years, legacy media is now reporting, finally, that President Obama has been working behind the scenes, not only during Biden's time occupying the White House and helping Biden, giving him instruction and direction, giving his team instruction and direction, but now working behind the scenes, yes, to force President Biden out, Administrator Biden out. They want him out of the race. And it's rooted in one thing, power. With Joe, there's no more power. With Joe, there's not an ability to hang on to power. Joe must go. And it shouldn't surprise any of us, given what we've just seen from the radical left, their lust for and desire for power. It is there. It is obvious. Now, this can happen to Republicans. There are Republican members of the swamp just as much as there are liberals. They can happen to both sides. Part of what I like so much about the America First MAGA movement is that we root out those rhinos and those swamp establishment creatures within our party. That's one of the benefits. In a lot of ways, never thought you'd hear me say it, but it's true. Administrator Biden has been a great unifier. He's united America. He's united America against him and against his commu-socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party. There is not a single poll worth anything out there that has Biden leading in this race. And that's why the feeding frenzy is continuing to intensify. Oh, they'll tell you there are polls out there, and they'll make it appear as if it's close. It's not. If it was close, and if Biden was really winning, this feeding frenzy would have been over a long time. It wouldn't have begun in the first place. So President Obama can now see the writing on the wall. Administrator Biden cannot win the 2024 presidential election. And so multiple media outlets now, today, talking about Obama's efforts, speculating perhaps, but Politico is out there, and they've stated that the former president, that's Obama, has been given a heads up by George Clooney. He was given a heads up a few days ago before Clooney wrote that article, that op-ed guest editorial that he penned and was released yesterday. And it was all a heads up regarding, hey, Barack, you and I, this is Clooney, right? I know we're tight, we're buddies. I can't hold back anymore. I've got to tell people what I think about Joe. He can't win. We can't. I was just at a fundraiser with you a couple months ago, Barack, and we both saw Joe. Barack, you had to guide him off of the stage. You had to take him by the hand so he could get off. I can't do it anymore, said George Clooney. And I'm going to write this article because we've got to make a course change right now. And so Clooney gives Barack Obama the heads up, and he goes ahead and he writes the New York Times guest essay demanding that Biden quit the race. And that fundraiser that I mentioned, you probably remember it, ladies and gentlemen. It was Barack Obama, George Clooney, and other members of the elite celebrity class had gathered a couple of months ago to raise money for Biden because Trump's campaign had received almost $500 million after those 34 temporary convictions came down out of New York. And they are temporary. They will be overturned. They're going to be erased. So all of that, right? You remember that fundraiser at the end. President Obama walking out on stage, Biden not knowing quite what to do, waving to people that he can't see, looking in the wrong direction. Obama comes over, grabs him kind of forcefully by the wrist and says, "It's time to go, Joe." And is it ever time for Joe to go? And they all know it. And so Obama is seeing to that. Obama is making sure that Biden's exit will be forthcoming. I want to refresh your memory. Here's a clip number 2. This is the clip of that fundraiser, Obama escorting Joe off the stage. Take a look. I take no personal joy in watching that, really. You can look at Administrator Biden and you know he is not healthy. He's not right. We saw that at the debate with Trump. I take no personal joy in Joe Biden, the human being paraded around like that. When you saw him walk off the stage, can barely take a step, shuffle stepping, mentally not there, waving, not knowing who he's waving at. You can just tell. And wouldn't you have liked to have known what Obama was whispering in his ear? Joe, we're going to have to figure out a way out of this. I'm going to work up something for you. Don't worry. We'll get you a golden parachute of some kind. We got to find a solution here, my friend. And they walk off. I take no joy in that because of what they do to him, but I will report it and I will tell you that they've known this since 2020. So shame on them and shame on Jill Biden for doing this to Joe. Now, it's politics. It's hardball. So you and I talk about it. And I give you my opinion and my analysis of what the state of play in America is. And this is part of that. This is obviously part of the state of play in America. And just as much as I take no personal pleasure in watching Biden decline, I am also enraged that the commune socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party, has thrust him upon us and all of the chaos that has come with it. I am enraged about what they have done to this republic, to our borders, to our children. And so, yes, I will mention it, and I will talk about it with you. We cannot let this ever happen. We have got to course correct. And the good news, the blessings in all of this, is that because this nightmare is so intense, and because we all see it, not just you and me here on the right side, but everybody, John and Jane Doe on the streets of Main Street America, they see it too. Even if they voted for Biden, they see it and they realize this is not what I signed up for. And that's why multiple millions of people are coming over to President Trump. Multiple from every demographic, my friends, men, women, Black, Latino, Asian, Hispanic, Gen Z, the youth, by huge, in fact, more youthful voters in the Gen Z generation are voting for a Republican candidate this year, including President Trump, than ever before. So the frenzy is deserved. They deserve what they're getting. They have no other viable candidate. And over in Cookeville, I'm going to talk about this after the break, but we've got MSNBC and Joe Scarborough chiming in on this in a surprising way, too, because he and Biden are pretty close. I'm going to talk about that when I come back from the break. First, I want to remind you about DougBillings.us. Please, ladies and gentlemen, head over to the new website and consider prayerfully, please, supporting the program over there. I give it to you for free. The show's free. Prayerfully consider what the truth and what this analysis, what this program is worth to you. And consider setting up a monthly recurring donation to the program at DougBillings.us. When I come back, more about the feeding frenzy, and I want to take your calls. So get ready. Get in line. 901-316-8404. 901-316-8404. We'll be opening up the phone lines. I'll be right back. Cheers.
The Right Side with Doug Billings.
Ladies and gentlemen, what if I told you that you could change the trajectory of your aging process? Look and feel better, live younger, be more active, less pain when you move around, sleep better, diminish the lines and the wrinkles on your face? Really? This is what I'm telling you. It's possible. You see, low stem cell activity happens when we get older. And it could be causing many of the health problems that some people have in the world today. Because as we get older, we have less stem cell activity, which means we age faster and we heal slower. The secret is a clinically proven and patented phototherapy non-transdermal patch, whose technology is the result of over 90 clinical studies and over 20 years of research. Your healthier life can begin today, and you can discover true age reversal. Age reversal, ladies and gentlemen. Please go to liveyoungerwithdoug.us. Liveyoungerwithdoug.us, ladies and gentlemen. Get over there today. Or if you'd like, text my name, Doug, to 41372. Doug, text it, 41372. And get over to liveyoungerwithdoug.us. Get younger, feel younger. I'm doing it. I'm wearing this patch. I feel great. And so will you. God bless you, ladies and gentlemen. For the Republic. Cheers.
The Right Side with Doug Billings.
I want to tell you about the good people over at EMP Shield. Electromagnetic pulse, ladies and gentlemen. It can fry your home electrical system or your vehicle's electrical system. But if you attach one of these, now this is for your breaker box at home. There's a smaller version that goes on your battery of your car, your vehicle, that will prevent it from being fried in the event of an electromagnetic pulse. Because as you know, thanks to Administrator Biden, many people coming across the border now who don't exactly have the best of intentions. Protect yourself. EMPshield.com. Get huge discounts over there if you use the promo code Doug.
Doug Billings, reminding you that conservatives are better looking than liberals.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. The Right Side with Doug Billings upon you. And we are talking about the feeding frenzy that is absolutely at historic proportions. Hardly ever happens. We never get a chance to see this, really, when liberals feed upon each other in public anyway. And here we are. More and more calls every day for Biden to quit. And I was saying before the break, over in Cookeville, yeah, on MSNBC, We have Joe Scarborough stating that he also is now having doubts about Biden. Now, Joe and Joe are buddies, Scarborough. And if you want to talk about this, by the way, there's the number on the screen, 901-316-8404. 901-316-8404. Happy to take your phone calls. Get in line. The phone lines are open, and we would love to hear from you. So Scarborough, it's, again, I'm taken back by it because this just doesn't happen that often where they will feast upon one of their own in public. So here's what he said. I'm going to quote Joe Scarborough here for you. What's going on behind the scenes is the Biden campaign and many Democratic officials do believe that Barack Obama is quietly working behind the scenes to orchestrate all of this. So meaning that Obama is orchestrating Joe Biden's exit from elected life. That's what they're talking about. And so it's, look, where there's smoke, there's fire, right? When you hear these things, you look at them with an attentive ear, and then you take into play what we know about Obama, what we know about his lust and thirst and desire for power, and that's all represented, or at least it was, in Joe Biden. Well, Joe Biden doesn't have it anymore, so he can't satisfy the thirst and the lust for power of the radical left, so he's got to be replaced. And it was at that fundraiser, the one that I showed you just a moment ago, where Biden's diminished mental acuity became apparent, not only to George Clooney, but to Obama, to Jimmy Kimmel, who was there on the stage too. Kimmel hasn't said anything necessarily publicly, but they all know this. Everybody in that room knows it. Everybody that watched the debate knows it. And so there is some sense of urgency among these guys that he has to come off the stage, literally, the stage of the presidency. He's got to get out. And so Clooney, maybe with some shred of decency in him, said, I can't take anymore. I got to speak up. He's got to go. We can't win with him. And it's not the same Joe. We feel sorry for him. He's got to step out. Don't do this to him. So Clooney says what he says in the New York Times, and it apparently shocked the hell out of him, as it should. So he wrote that piece. And again, I remind you, this is rare when liberals feed on their own. Usually they circle their wagons and they fire outward at us. They very rarely circle the wagons and fire inward at one of their own, but they're doing it now. So publicly, Obama not saying a thing, obviously, as you would guess. But you can better believe that behind the scenes, my friends, on phone calls with people like David Axelrod, the aforementioned Susan Rice, whose office is in the West Wing, and other elites among the communist-socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party, they are trying to figure this out. All of the members of the liberal hierarchy, they're talking about it. And on these phone calls, on these conference calls, on these Zoom and Skype calls, they are trying to come up with an exit strategy for Administrator Biden. And this is not going to be easy. You would think that it might be, but it's not. Millions upon millions of delegate ballots for their upcoming convention have been mailed out and already come back in and have been tabulated. They have chosen Biden. Now, those votes, by rule and law, cannot go to anyone else except Joe Biden. They can't go to anybody else. And millions of other ballots, delegate ballots, are still out there being returned. So I think it's likely that by the end of this week, ladies and gentlemen, Administrator Biden is going to have this nomination wrapped up for his party by the end of this week. I think it's going to happen. So what to do then? Because the liberals, as I said, are forced to admit the truth. And the truth is that we and they have known that Biden has been off since 2020, but now he's really off and completely unfit for the office that was given to him. Saw a lot of chatter the last couple of days about how Joe Biden has earned the presidency and so forth and so on. And you'll know I've never referred, unless I've made a mistake and I slip up, I have never referred to Joe Biden as president. I always call him Administrator Biden because he was given this office, ladies and gentlemen. Even within his own party, they did not have a primary. What did he earn? He didn't have a primary. He didn't fend off other contenders for the nomination like President Trump did. It was given to him. So, yeah, you can say it's orchestrated, it's scripted, whatever. He was their guy. I'm going to talk about more of that in later in the show, but there's a reason why it was Joe. It's because there's nobody else there to give it to who's credible and competent. Remember the basement interviews in 2020 that he did? He was famous, and we all noticed it. I talked about it all the time. Why isn't he on the campaign trail? I mean, it was COVID and all that, but he could go out and he would have these, oh my God, these horrible campaign events. Remember the gymnasiums where people are sitting in circles, in circles and chairs within the circles, and there was maybe 20 people in a gymnasium? Absolutely ridiculous. President Trump was having his rallies out in the open air, thousands of people. Biden couldn't get too many vans packed with 12, house moms to show up. No offense to house moms. Very important role. But he couldn't get anybody to show up. But there was this interview that I'm thinking about in particular. It was with the AFL-CIO, I believe. Now, this interview is important. It was in his basement, just like many of the ones we saw. But the questions and answers were given to Administrator Biden. The questions and the answers were given to Administrator Biden. And they were scripted out and displayed on a teleprompter. But then during the interview, it's glorious to watch, the teleprompter malfunctions. And Biden, who can't think on his own anyway, watch it. I don't want to just watch his reaction. It'll be obvious when you see it. Here's the clip way back then, 2020, Biden in the basement. Take a look.
And I would like to know, what will your administration do to help them give them that chance? Thank you.
Move it up here. There used to be a basic bargain in this country. Workers shared in the wealth their work helped create.
Did you? Okay. I take no personal pleasure in watching this man self-destruct, but this is political hardball. Now, right now, as we speak, ladies and gentlemen, I know I'm going up against Administrator Biden. We're going head to head here in prime time. He's giving a press conference. And do you know what he just did? Ladies and gentlemen, he introduces President Zelensky of the Ukraine as President Putin of Russia. Take a look.
And now I want to hand it over to the president of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. President Putin. He's going to beat President Putin. President Zelensky. I'm so focused on beating Putin, we got to worry about it. Anyway, Mr. President.
I'm better.
I take no pleasure in the self-destruction, but my God, ladies and gentlemen, what are we? Look, it's over. He cannot recoup. He cannot rebound. There's going to be another press conference later tonight, and I'm going to talk about it tomorrow. You can't make this stuff up. Now, can't you just hear it? According Billings, what on worldviewtube.com, Doug Billings just played a cheap fake, ladies and gentlemen. Don't believe Billings. He's a threat to our democracy. Democracy, my rump. We don't have a democracy. We're a republic, and that was real. We just saw Biden introduce Zelensky as Putin. You can't make it up. So this is what I'm talking about. Clooney, Kimmel, Obama, Zelensky now, everybody sees it. Wherever Biden goes, it is a catastrophe. And that clip, the interview in the basement, a catastrophe that they've known has existed since 2020. It's infuriating, and we all see it. Now, there's good news in all of this because we are waking up. We're seeing it happen right in front of our eyes. This does nothing but put the pressure on the Democratic Communist Socialist Party. The ball is in their court with what they do from this point on, and we're watching because it clearly cannot be Biden. I remember also back when they were running, Hillary Clinton was running against Trump, 2016. Remember the nuclear code commercial that Hillary would play? How can you trust President Trump at 3:00 in the morning to get the call to, when a nuclear crisis happens? And Hillary was making it appear as if she's the diplomat and she's the one that you can trust. Nonsense. Look at that issue. Put that commercial on now, except supplant Biden in there. We can't have it. We certainly don't think that he's going to be able to get up at 3:00 in the morning and deal with it. He might call Putin, Zelensky, and it'll be over. So it goes on. And I know that I'm laughing. I can't help it. If you're going to either cry or laugh, but I take no personal pleasure in watching the human being decompose in front of us here. And continuing on in the list, there's a guy by the name of John Favreau, who is a member of that group called the Obama Bros. This is one of the inner circle members of Barack Obama. He said yesterday, he was on CNN. And he was talking about that fundraiser, the clip that I showed you a few moments ago. And he observed the same things that Clooney did. And Favreau said yesterday on CNN, quote, "It was not surprising to any of us who were at the fundraiser. I was there. Clooney was exactly right. And every single person I talked to at the fundraiser thought the same thing, except for the people working for Joe Biden, or at least they didn't say anything." So he continued on talking about what he had noticed at that event. He said, "I remember my wife, Emily, turned to me after the fundraiser was over and said, 'What are we going to do?' And I said, 'Well, there's a debate in a week. Either he'll do well in that debate and we'll think that he was just tired because he had just traveled over here from Europe, or he'll be like this tonight at the debate, and then the whole country is going to be talking about it.' And so here we are. So that shark feeding frenzy, ladies and gentlemen, glorious to behold, I must admit, has happened more and more each day. More and more each day since the debate, since that fundraiser. Now we're going to have this clip from, I'm probably the first one to show it to you, unless you are watching it live yourself, Biden introducing Zelensky as Vladimir Putin. Absolutely unbelievable. I mean, these kinds of things on the radical left just don't happen. They're so scripted all the time. This is a bull in a china shop for them. They are panic mode city right now. Panic mode city. And I remind you, they've got to decide what to do with those delegates. This is a real issue. Biden has got to step down voluntarily, because those delegates belong to him by rule. Oh, but Doug, they're just going to get together in a room and smoke a few cigars, drink some scotch, and change the rules. It's not that easy. Yeah, I know rules really mean little to the Commie Socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party, but they can't just rush out and change. It's not that easy. There are some legal and logistical issues, because right now everything belongs to Biden. The delegates, as far as that's concerned, they're all Biden's. So I'll talk more about it. I'm going to talk about some of the people who they think are on deck or on the waiting list here to take Biden's place. But when you look at that list, not so much. And I'll explain in a moment when I come back. And again, ladies and gentlemen, reminding you kindly, head over to DougBillings.us, please. That's my website. It's been revamped and remodeled over there. And I give you this show for free every day, Monday through Friday, 5 to 6 Central Time. You can watch it on worldviewtube.com. You can watch it on my website, DougBillings.us, where you can also donate and help me provide the show to you for free. I don't charge a thing. Prayerfully consider what it's worth to you. This kind of information. Some good humor, but always with analysis and thought-provoking commentary that you can't get anywhere else, truly. DougBillings.us. Consider a monthly recurring donation, and I will be right back with you. Stay with me. Cheers.
Hello, I'm Brandon House. Is the government tracking you? Do they have access to all your data? Well, if you go to worldviewtalk.com, you'll find out about a cell phone company that, does not store your data. They don't do that. This is what they're known for. They don't store your data. You have privacy. You're not being tracked. That's why a lot of folks are turning to worldviewtalk.com. You'll find their prices are very competitive. All the details are there at worldviewtalk.com. Again, worldviewtalk.com. Oh, while you're there, not only do they have cell phones that aren't tracking you, you can find out about how to get a satellite phone. should the whole system go down and you want to communicate with a family member or a loved one, you might want to have a satellite phone. Or how about their solar generators? They have great solar generators. Check them all out right now. Worldviewtalk.com, worldviewtalk.com.
Doug Billings, the shining light of truth and American exceptionalism.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, right over here where I take a great amount of delight pointing out the intellectual immaturity of liberals. Every day we do it. Take a look. This happened just moments ago. I showed it to you just before the break, but in case you're just joining us, check it out. And even if you have seen it, it's worth watching again. Administrator Biden on the world stage with NATO members introducing President Zelensky of the Ukraine as President Putin. Take a look.
And now I want to hand it over to the president of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. President Putin. He's going to beat President Putin. President Zelensky. I'm so focused on beating Putin, we got to worry about it. Anyway, Mr. President.
I'm better.
My gosh, that's going to get a lot of airtime. That's going to be all over Twitter or X and all other social media platforms. That's going to live about a week or so. And everybody right now, I'm telling you, all of the radical left communist socialist members of the former Democratic Party are absolutely watching that and just going, it's the palm to face plant heard around the world. Everybody reacting just like that. And the thing is, as I was alluding to before the break, who are they going to get to take Joe's place? Really, think about this. I know a lot of names have been thrown out. Kamala Harris, really? Give me a break. She'll never be a presidential candidate who can win. Never. The only way that she can ascend to the White House, and this truly is my current number one nightmare, ladies and gentlemen, is if Joe Biden dies or becomes completely incapacitated. And I don't know about you, but I can't bear the thought of having Kamala Harris as the first woman to occupy the White House. Please, Lord God, keep Biden alive at least until January 5th of 2025. I can't bear the thought of that. But it's not, look, all else aside, if they can't put her in there, I mean, they might put her in there but she's not going to win. Who else? Gavin Newsom? Look at what he's done to California. He's absolutely destroyed it. It has the highest homeless population in the world, except for India. The highest homeless population in the world is in California. And that whole western seaboard, Washington State, Oregon, California, some of the most beautiful places you'd ever want to see, absolutely decimated by the radical left communist socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party, and their leadership. Gretchen Whitmer, really? Not now. She cannot be at the top of the ticket because she hasn't paid enough dues, and that means she'd have to be the vice president, and they're not going to do that. They can't do that. The radical left can't, because she's not black. The liberals have painted themselves into a corner with that because in 2020, they announced that no other candidate is going to be considered unless they are black and a woman. So what are they going to do now? I mean, Kamala is there. And they can't take it away from her because she's black and a woman. That would go against everything that the radical left liberal have said that they're going to do. So they've painted themselves in this box, and they've got no one out there who can say and look at the American people in the eye and say, look what I've done for you. My record speaks for itself. Look at the great things that I've done. Look what I can do. There is no liberal in the elected class who has done anything for the betterment of the people or this republic. None. So that begs the question, really. Does the Communist Socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party, begin to look outside of the elected class to find successors for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris? It might be, because I'll bet you that they're thinking about this, and the line of thought and these questions that are jumping ahead of all of us, really, who's going to take his place? Who are we going to get? We're jumping ahead because ultimately the question is, will Joe step down? Because that's where it is. We can't go anywhere unless we know the answer to that question. The Communist Socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party, is going to have to come up with a sweet deal for the big guy. And if they want him to step down, it's got to be super sweet. Super sweet, baby. Let me hear it. What's your offer? Because he and his family have been accustomed to becoming enriched by virtue of what they can grift off of Joe's political career and position from the American people and people around the world. What's in it for them? What's in it for the big guy? They're going to have to come up with something awfully big. So I talk about this golden parachute that they're going to have to give him. They're going to have to make it a sweet deal. They're going to have to be significant in their approach. It's going to have significance in title and substance in description. In other words, it's got to be impressive. Because they're not going to embarrass Joe in public any more than they already have. It's pretty embarrassing when you have so many people calling for you to step down. That's bad enough. But to force him out, to force his hand publicly, I don't think you're going to see it. And and stop with the nonsense of assassination. There's a lot of people out there talking, no, that's not good. No, the left wouldn't do that. Joe doesn't stand in the way of the swamp. The swamp has killed people before. We know that. They killed Kennedy. Granted that, yeah. But Kennedy was in the way of the swamp. Joe Biden's not in the way of the swamp. Joe Biden is the swamp. Joe Biden is the swamp's key spokesperson at the moment. Yeah, killing, it makes no sense. So what they're going to do is they're going to dangle the role of dignitary out in front of Biden. They're going to claim that he'll be able to, Joe, you're going to be able to advise presidents and premiers and prime ministers. You're going to be able to go around the world doing this, or just sit in your basement and do it on a Skype call. Whatever you want, Joe, but you're going to advise key figures all around the world, and just think of the money you can make doing that. And they'll pay him a lot of money to do that. They will. And that's what the hierarchy is going to be telling Joe Biden in the coming days. Dignitary, stay at home, work from home, millions of dollars, consulting, giving advice, etc. And they'll probably give him a title, one that we've never heard associated with a former occupant of the White House. And so reach down and strategize, they will, about this. They're going to look back throughout decades of liberal influence in education, in government, in politics, in the country, and they're going to come up with the title that is full of prestige. They're going to come up with a title that we've never heard applied, as I said, to a former occupant of the White House. Because they're going to convince him to step out early. This title's got to mean something, and the role behind it has to be significant as well. So what they're going to call Administrator Biden, hey, Joe, you step out, you're going to be this advisor, work from your basement, make millions upon millions of dollars. You're going to be called President Emeritus Joe Biden. Just watch. Doesn't that just sound liberal? President Emeritus Joe Biden, ladies and gentlemen. Something like that is going on. They're going to do something like this. That's what they're going to pitch him. Going to see if they can get him to nibble on it. because he's got to be able to voluntarily step down in order for the radical hierarchy of the Communist Socialist Party to have their grip on power remain intact. The delegates already belong to him. Look for it to happen. Title, prestige, consultant, advisor, all around the world, dignitary. President Emeritus Joe Biden. Wouldn't surprise me one bit. And not only do they not have anybody else to put in place who can speak to a record of success or a record of benefit to the American people or her citizens. They don't have a platform to stand on. Not to mention, as I did, no person, there's no platform, politics, or policy they can point to that has benefited us. I mean, it's a coalition of immorality. Everything they've put forth upon us, purposefully so, has been rooted in chaos and immorality. The border, let's look at it. Chaos is obvious, but it's also immoral what they're doing down there. It results in the trafficking of children and adults, for that matter. It results in the infestation of more drugs than we've ever seen come across the border in our history. That's immoral. The invasion of dozens upon dozens of criminals invading this country. That's immoral. And not just criminals, but terrorists, people who want to do great harm to us. That is immoral, letting them come in to this country. We could go on and on and on. This is chaos. It is immoral. They don't have a candidate. They don't have a platform to put forth that can demonstrate to us any proof or any evidence of benefit to America. What you have out there with people who believe in this are just absolutely 100% brainwashed partisans who, for whatever reason, will never detach themselves from their party. Because either they can't stand the thought of being wrong, or because they were simply intellectually immature. They can't do it. They won't do it. Or their disdain, their Trump derangement syndrome is so bad that they just can't let go of the radical left. And then, of course, there's that segment of people who really believe in this immorality that they've put forth. And I just mentioned a few bullet points. There's so much. The LGBTQ kook community, the transgender movement. Imagine trying to convince, as part of your party platform, that children should be able to mutilate their genitalia in order to find what they think might be happiness, joy, and wonder in this life. It's abhorrent. It's immoral. It's a coalition of immorality, and they are out there. I still want to talk to you, ladies and gentlemen. 901-316-8404. If you want to talk about this, the feeding frenzy that's going on around Administrator Biden and what may be next, 901-316-8404. Give me a call. Let's talk about it. One more break into capitalism, and I'll be right back after this. Stay with me. God bless you. Cheers.
TWC.health/Brandon. This is one of our sponsors, has been now for a few years. Here it is. You just go there. If you use that URL, folks, you not only save money, but our program gets credit, which helps us keep doing great shows like this for free and pushing them out. TWC.health/Brandon. Look up here at the top of the page where it says Med Kits. Go down there to the one that says Contagion Emergency Kit. Contagion Emergency Kit. That's the one you want, right, Dr. McCullough?
Right. That's going to cover bird flu. Just you start on day one. I think all the animal workers, people in rural areas need to have these. You can't wait around for the pharmacist. If you start early, that comes with telemedicine. We can intensify the antivirals, get other drugs going. Very affordable. Join through Brandon's website. Join as a member, because we're working on ways to replace the used drugs, and you have to be a member to get that advantage.
We live in uncertain times. In fact, we live at a time when our own governments all over the world are warning us that there could be big problems with our power grid. World War III seems to be right on the horizon. Let me ask you this. Do you have a satellite phone? Should communications go down with cell towers? Do you have a satellite phone to get a hold of that college student or your spouse who travels, whatever it might be, to get a hold of your senior adult parents? We have satellite phones at worldviewtalk.com, and you get the satellite phone for free when you sign up for their very reasonable payment programs for the service. Sign up for the service with a reasonable contract, get the satellite phone for free. Worldviewtalk.com. You'll also find they have, well, what I now have, which is a solar generator. Yeah, I have a gas generator, an LP propane generator, but what if that goes down? I want to back up to my backup. So I now have a solar generator as well. You'll find them at worldviewtalk.com. Check it out today, worldviewtalk.com. Hello, I'm Brandon House. Melissa and I have been taking Bella Grace, this powerful elixir, since last fall, 2023. The results have been amazing. My hands would crack and bleed, deep cuts and cracks every winter for years. No matter what we did, we couldn't get them to stop cracking and bleeding. This year, I took Bella Grace, no cracking, no bleeding. My acid reflux, gone. Haven't had to take a Pepsid. My hair growth, the last 2 times I had my hair cut, the lady had to use thinning shears on my hair. That's amazing. We've also received incredible feedback from you, our listening audience, and the impact it's had for you. This is loaded with astaxanthin. That's a powerful antioxidant. Collagen, but top grade collagen. Studies show 95% of it is being absorbed in the body because of the way they develop it. Then we have something called cat's claw. That's an anti-inflammatory from a vine in Peru. It's the bark, and it's an anti-inflammatory. There are about 80 clinical trials on Bella Grace. Please get a subscription now and save. MelissaHouseBG.com.
The Right Side with Doug Billings, pointing out the intellectual immaturity of liberals.
Absolutely so, ladies and gentlemen, and doing that with a great amount of joy, I must admit. Okay, who are they going to get? They don't have anybody, the radical liberal, to replace Joe Biden. We've discussed it. And now they turn their attention also towards next year. They've got a couple of things, they're juggling a couple of things here. They've got an upcoming election. They have no candidate. What are they going to do? They look at us, what we're doing, what Trump is doing. There's this thing out there called Project 2025. Oh, my God, spinning liberal heads completely around in circles. They're spinning it into a web of lies. Project 2025, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to look it up. Project2025.org. You go over there, do your own research, look at it. It's an educational mechanism to create a succession plan of leaders. In my former life in corporate America, I was the vice president of human resources. And it was common for us, every year we look at what we call our succession plan. Each leader within the company, from supervisor all the way up. Who's your successor? Who's going to take your place? What are we going to do if you move on or leave or are promoted or whatever? So Project 2025, in many ways, is asking us, who wants to be part of a new conservative administration beginning in January 2025? And if you're interested in this, contact us. Let us get a hold of you. Let's see and it will give you training. We're going to give you development. We're going to give you the tools that you'll need so that on day one, right after the election in November, you can hit the ground running with this new conservative administration. So it's anticipating, Project 2025 it's anticipating a conservative victory in November, not just for president, but throughout the republic and other roles, governors and senators and states and so forth. So it's anticipating a victory. All right, that's point A. Liberals don't like that. They're anticipating they're going to win. Well, we've got something to say about that. And then they begin to spin the contents of what Project 2025 is really about. And you'll see memes that are highly inaccurate, that are just bold-faced lies. That you have to wonder, why are you so upset about Project? Because when you look at the truth, it's developing leaders. Granted, it's conservative. Yes, they're developing conservative leadership. But you peel back that cover, and what is conservative leadership? At its core, here's what Project 2025 is doing. And this is the crucifix in front of the vampire. If you're a vampire fan, this is what drives the liberals crazy. This is their crucifix, Project 2025. It's one of them, right? And that is that Project 2025 strives to and endeavors to put forth pathways forward that will rekindle the American foundation, including the divine providence of God. and the intent of the founding fathers. And that's the crucifix for the liberals. No, we can't have that. Back away. No, we can't have the divine providence of God. We can't have the original intent of the founding fathers. We need to fundamentally transform America away from all of that. That's the mantra and the platform of this communist-socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party. And you all know this. There's no denying it. Not only have they said it out loud, they've implied it in everything that they're doing. The chaos that I've mentioned for the last 4 years, border, energy, foreign policy, inflation, we can go on and on. It's purposeful, and it's part of their deconstruction of America. It's part of the destroy, build back better mantra. They will destroy us. Obama himself said it first. America needs to be fundamentally transformed. No, it does not. The founders, with God's help, got it right. We are a country, we are a republic inspired by God, whose founding documents are inspired by God and written by men. Where there is no need to fundamentally transform America. But listen to what the radical communist-socialist, formerly known as Democrat, Party says. That's what they're doing. And the flood of chaos around us is all part of it. COVID, the destruction of our economy, shutting down jobs, shutting down the economy, wrecking the economy, all part of their plan so that they can destroy and then build it back in their image. The immigration problem. Look at France. Look at the UK. They suffered a terrible loss. It was tough to look at. But the plan of the radical liberals in those countries, just as it is here, is to dilute their identity. And so the illegal immigration issue, twofold, and you've heard me talk about it before to a degree, but it bears repeating because it's so important. Illegal immigration dilutes the American identity. You get so many people over here, haven't been vetted, haven't gone through the legal process to become an American citizen where you learn the proper context of the creation of this republic. They come in here, especially, and look, this is the truth. Muslims come in, they take over. There's no identity with this plan. It erases American exceptionalism. It erases the American identity. We've got to stand up at our local levels and vote this stuff out. And secondly, it's a new electoral base for the communist-socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party. The illegal immigrants are their new electoral base, and a huge significant part of it. Pushing legislation to allow illegal immigrants to vote in America. For you and me, people of reason and intellect and intellectual maturity, that we can't wrap our heads around. That makes no sense. It is not a sensible statement or a position. But that's what they're doing. They're a coalition of immorality, and they are wrapped and shrouded in the work of the devil. And it is an evil battle that we're in, a battle of good versus evil. Project 2025 seeks to reverse the current trends through training and education of conservative people who want to take leadership roles within a new government headed up by conservative people, President Trump and others. And it's not just in D.C., but in your local communities. And so this is what drives the liberals crazy. They cannot have that. Remember, crucifix, no. Vampire, no. Truth, no. Divine providence of God, the intent of the founders, no. We want to transform America away from all of that. Remember, do away with the Electoral College. Expand the Supreme Court, if not get rid of it altogether. Stand firm. It's primary season. Vote in your primaries. Conservatives, get out there and vote for your vetted, true America First candidates for office in your states, in your counties, in your cities. This is how we reclaim the republic. This feeding frenzy that we're seeing with Biden is going to continue. I'll be here with you talking about it for the next several weeks, I'm sure, until a decision is reached. Ladies and gentlemen, your involvement is key to all of this. Do not lose hope. God is real, and we have a pack of blessings on our back. This chaos will yield blessings that we can't even imagine right now. I'll see you right here on the right side. Ladies and gentlemen, God bless you. Believe it. For the Republic. Cheers.
Welcome to Technocracy News with your host, Patrick Wood. I'm Logan House. Today we have a couple articles to go over. The first one will be AI's hacked skeleton key exploit can unlock safety measures in AI. The second one is technocrat